This is a trigger warning before this podcast starts because the first half of this podcast is going to be talking about topics such as self-harm and suicide on the X say is the best way I can put that. So if you don't want to really talk about that, skip to the other half of the podcast where we talk about something light-hearted, which is why I kind of had that, just so that way, in case people wanted to skip it but still wanted to support the show, you can just by watching something else in the show. But this is going to be something that I wanted to talk about and follow up on because it's something that definitely needs to be addressed before we even talk about any other things coming up on the JHebert Side of Things, considering there has been a lot since I recorded that podcast back in December with the James Summerton situation. It's unfortunately gone very, very upsetting and dark. And because I was originally very upset about, the way people were treating him, even though it was a horrible mistake he made, I think he was severely judged in such a way that it very much has done the opposite effect of what it needed to. So we're going to be covering that one more time. I'm not going to be touching this again with a 10-foot pole, considering everything that's happened. Unfortunately, exactly what I feared might happen may have happened. So now that that's been kind of stated, enjoy, I guess, as much as you can. I don't even know how you can enjoy the first half of this podcast at all, but we'll get into it, and I'll see you in a minute.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
The following views are strictly the views of James Hebert and do not represent anybody that works with the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media or is a part of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. Straight from JHebert Studios, James covers the good, the bad, and the ugly, and gives his perspective on things. Now here is your host, James Hebert.
Hello, everyone. This is really a podcast that I didn't want to be making because I was hoping that I'd be wrong. But evidently, it's been, I think, a month now since this news broke. And I looked, and there is no sign of this man. And I'll look again just in case something has changed. I'm just scared, really. I'm just honestly really scared. Because obviously you all know how I felt about the James Summerton situation and how I feel people were going way, way, way too hard on him. Even if he deserved it in some aspects, I think it went on way too long. The witch hunt went way too long. And as far as I know, and I'm going to look one more time, but any updates on this man, they've been scarce. They've been fewer and far between. But there was obviously him very worryingly saying, 24 days ago, if this message is live, it means I scheduled it before ending things. I have videos scheduled to go out over the next couple of days. Nothing new. I just want a next portfolio of work to be available. I left directions that any money from those videos be donated to the Canadian Association of Suicide Prevention. They've tried very hard to pull me back, but there's simply no life for me anymore. I lost everything, my only friend, my livelihood, my name. And it's my own fault. And it's all my own fault. The world will be a little bit better off now. Goodbye. So, I remember the last time this happened with a YouTuber. It was after every other YouTuber basically made fun and poked jokes at Etika. And kind of shit on him, and he felt there was no going back, and so he ended things very similar to how James did, which was schedule a post to go live after he took his own life. I really hope that didn't happen, but nobody's been able to find any trace of him. It's almost like he just disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, I will say, if he comes back under a different alias with AI, that will really piss me off, because you don't joke about something like that and fame something just to get your career back in a different light. And go under a different alias, which I hope to God isn't the case, but I don't want this to be the case either. I really don't want this to be the case. There's more information about it. We're just going to kind of go over it as well, because the person that broke this worldwide since this happened, of all freaking people, was Keffels. And Keffels had... I never had the greatest opinion on Keffels. I think everybody knows the controversies that they have had, that she's had. But in this situation, in this current situation, she was the only one that actually had a very similar take to mine. So we're gonna play this. This is from her channel. We have two videos that we're gonna watch from her. This is exactly what was said by her regarding this situation.
The situation with James Summerton has taken a very, very dark turn. If you don't know who James Summerton is an LGBT YouTuber who has recently been at the center of a controversy following H-Bomber putting out a comprehensive video essay about the issue of plagiarism on YouTube. James Summerton was one of the focal points of H-Bomber's video.
James Summerton is a gay YouTuber with a degree in business administration who frequently refers to himself as a marketing expert.
I'm a YouTuber, marketing expert, and film school grad. I'm also gay.
Cool. I looked at what he'd been accused of for myself, weighed up all the evidence as objectively as I could, and it quickly became clear he did do it. He's a massive plagiarist. In fact, there's a bunch of stuff no one else has found yet. He's just convinced his audience to attack people when they notice. And the worst part is, they do it in the name of defending a gay creator, when many of the people he has financially benefited from stealing from are queer themselves.
I just want to point out, as I said in the last video covering this situation, it's wrong that he ever did that. And this is the first time I've actually seen any of H-Bomber's videos, because I'm sorry, but I don't have a fucking attention span that goddamn long, dude. I'm sorry, I'm not going to watch it. Now I understand why people say you need to have your videos shorter, because of shit like that. Seriously, like, I can't watch that long of a video. But this is the first time I've heard it. He is correct. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say he's not correct. H-Bomber is absolutely correct in this.
I've never seen anyone try to put together a full explanation of what exactly happened here, because his fans will threaten you into silence for trying, which means there is no solid body of evidence to point to, so James can freely lie about what happened without anyone to contradict him.
The series of events that happened afterwards, where James Summerton puts out an apology video.
I'm sorry for taking so long to make this video or to say anything.
Now, we have seen this video, so I might skip this part But as we covered last time, yes. Was it bad what he did? Yes. Did he bring a lot of this on himself with the fact that he kind of orchestrated his fans? Sorry, an ad appeared out of nowhere. I'll let her get her money because, again, I think she had the best point of this whole thing. I'm going to let the whole ad play. But, yeah, I think she absolutely had the... I think he absolutely tried to do the best that he could in this situation after everything had happened. I think sometimes people need a drastic, like, bomb. You know, ironically enough, pun intended, considering H-Bomber Guy is kind of the one who broke all this, to really change for the better. And I do feel as if, you know, people jumped on the witch hunt that he doesn't mean it, he's not sorry, and he literally had everything that he possibly could do to fix the situation or try to remedy the situation. He had some good ideas, he had some ideas that weren't so good, that then some people actually had corrected of what he could do to make things better. But he also wants his career to stay intact as much as possible so that way he can fix it, but also still continue what he's been doing. And everybody said, no, he can't do that, he can't do that, he can't do that, he can't do that. Even though there were some sites that he stole from where he said, no, you can do that, and we appreciate the apology, just please don't ever do something like that again. But that completely fell on deaf ears for a lot of people, and they just completely fucking ignored it. And, yeah... That's just kind of the rundown of what happened since we last left off with this unfortunate situation.
Paramedics or 911 or where they got here, and I woke up in the hospital.
It was dogpiled and he deleted the video. He put out another apology video.
Just a disclosure, this video is monetized, but revenue from it will be sent along to H-Bomber Guy's team to be dispersed to the people whose work I plagiarized. If his team won't accept it, I'll be making monthly donations to Wikipedia and Trans Lifeline going forward. You may have also noticed that a few of my past videos have gone up on the channel again, and revenue from those as well will also be sent along with the revenue from this video. Over the last couple of months, I've been getting in touch with the people who I plagiarized to apologize one-on-one instead of a mass apology. It's a bit difficult because many of them don't have public email addresses, so I'm still working on it, but it is a top priority of mine. I've heard back from a few of them, and they were actually incredibly nice, accepting my apology and just imploring me to do better in the future.
He then deleted his second apology video, and then he tried to go back to making videos like nothing had ever happened.
A lot of the reason for this, which I think is kind of left out of context, very much similar to the same reasons that Kefl mentioned earlier. He was dogpiled again for this apology. Like, it really didn't matter. No matter what he did, he was dogpiled on. And again, this is why I say you leave the injustice to the fucking justice system. We are not the court of fucking law. We're not. You could be mad about something, you could say something is bad, that's fine, but holy fucking shit, the witch hunt mentality is fucking disgusting, dude. And I mean en masse. Mass witch hunting is fucking absurd. Like, nobody can correct their behavior. Nobody can change to be a better person. They are that person no matter what because they fucked up. Even if it was, no matter how big or small, they fucked up. They don't deserve another fucking chance. I mean, holy shit, man.
Unfortunately, the damage had already been done. And people were rightfully mad at him and unwilling to let him just go back to his life like nothing had ever happened. However, things have taken an incredibly dark turn, and I'll show you how. This message just got posted to James Summerton's Twitter account.
And Instagram, and it was posted on Reddit, which is where I initially read this message from. I'll let her repeat it again just in case you didn't get it in the beginning.
This message is live. It means I scheduled it before ending things. I have videos scheduled to go out over the next couple of days. Nothing new. I just wanted Nick's portfolio of work to be available. I've left instructions that any money from those videos be donated to the Canadian Association for Suicide Prevention. They've tried very hard to pull me back, but there's simply no life for me anymore. I've lost everything. My only friend, my livelihood, my name, and it's all my own fault. The world will be a little bit better off now. Goodbye. I found this post on the H-Bomber Guy subreddit, where it's currently being discussed. A sticky comment from one of the moderators of the subreddit says, "Hey all, we're trying to call in a wellness check on James, but we aren't currently sure where he lives. This post did come from his account, so it appears not to be fake. While it's valid to discuss the event and your own experiences relating to it, please be respectful and compassionate for him. Please report posts that are celebrating this or otherwise dismissive of his humanity and well-being. If you don't see it, I currently have Automod on to auto-delete comments and posts with enough reports. Update. We've done what we can at this moment, so we are no longer requesting information. If I do hear anything back that is willing to be disclosed, we will update."
I just want to give credit for the H-Bomber Guy, and I say that because I didn't even see his whole video, but the fact that his team, the fact that he cares about him as a human being and doesn't want him doing it this way, I commend them for that, and I don't think they supported the harassment that he ended up getting, and he got a lot of it. Some that was justified and some that was not necessarily justified, as we have covered in the last podcast covering this. But they have done everything that they possibly could in this situation, and this has to be a really horrible fucking situation to be in. I can't even imagine what the fuck is going through this team's mind right now.
One of the comments on this post reads, "I desperately hope that he's lashing out again," which feels uncharitable to say, but I know what it's like to be in that dark place, and I've lost family to it.
Amen.
I'm sure he still has family and friends who love him. Whatever I feel about his attempts at restarting on YouTube, I just don't want this to be how the story ends.
Real quick, I've been in that place not too long ago. I've been in that place many times prior to that, unfortunately. Too many. Like, one is already too many. When you're in that dark place, like, unless you have the wherewithal of a fucking goddamn tempered steel, like, it's really goddamn hard. And I've come close, way too close for comfort, at least 2 times in my life. And if I didn't feel like suicide was the answer, I felt like I wanted to die, you know? So I've been exactly at this place. And it's rough. It's fucking rough. When you're at that place. And it takes a lot of advocating for yourself to get there. And I'm not going to blame people that were criticizing James Summerton. Because ultimately he could have done, like, his decision's his decision at the end of the day. That doesn't fall in anybody else. That does not mean I'm going to go back on what I said from the last podcast. We need to be better human beings to each other, even if we think we fucked up. If we really are going to go on this, social media is the age of injustice and reporting on the injustice, then we need to do a better fucking job at it. Because otherwise, shit like this goes down and it fucking goes crazy. It has that effect if you do not fucking take your time and judge people properly within the confines of a fair trial. Which is why I said in the beginning, let the justice system handle injustices. Because then we avoid shit like this from happening. Fuck.
I have a lot of complicated thoughts about this situation. I genuinely hope that James Summerton is still alive. This is an awful situation. I think James Summerton obviously made horrible mistakes. He made a career off of stealing the work of other people. Before he deleted his Patreon, he was making $170,000 a year on a career that was based off of stealing the work of smaller creators and not giving them credit or financial compensation for the work that they put in. One of those creators in question is Jessie Gender, who James Summerton personally apologized to in his...
I also want to personally apologize to Jessie Gender because I did not realize that he actually went by she. Because I called them he last time. So my apologies to her. I did not realize that, their proper pronouns. So that is my apology to Jessie Gender. And she did a very great follow-up on this entire situation. I did see her entire video responding to James Summerton's apology in the video that she showed prior, that Keffel showed prior. And yeah, it was very well thought out. It was very respectful this time. It wasn't as brash and abrasive as the last one was. And I appreciated that from her. And yeah, I just wanted to apologize for misgendering them because I had no idea. It was the first time I discovered their channel because of this entire situation and going down that rabbit hole the last time we covered this. So just wanted to issue an apology for that little slip up. But now that has been settled, let's get back to what Keffels is saying about this horrific situation.
In question is Jessie Gender, who James Summerton personally apologized to in his second deleted apology video. And this is what she had to say about the apology.
I'd also like to extend a personal apology to Jessie Earl, better known as Jessie Gender. Out of everyone that I spoke to who was also a YouTuber, Jessie was by far the kindest person. I think Jessie might be one of the kindest people I've ever met or ever encountered. We never actually met in person. Because of my hot-headedness, I drew her into just this anger spiral of mine that was unwarranted and absolutely ruined a possible friendship. Jessie was actually doing her best to kind of mitigate my frustration and everything and at that moment, and I just wasn't allowing her to do that. And I really, truly, honestly want to apologize to her for that. Again, if you ever get the chance to speak with Jessie one-on-one, or if you have gotten the chance, you'll know just how nice she is and how kind. And I was a real asshole for dragging her into my reactionary, unwarranted frustration.
I think this was in relation to a completely different situation over the other situation that he was in a lot of controversy for, that James Summerton was in. So yeah, I think this is in relation to a different situation entirely from what I saw in the original video.
We haven't spoke since all of that happened. But Jessie, if you are watching this video, I do want you to know that I am honestly sorry for that. I hope, truly, honestly,
I hope everything goes as well as possible for you because you deserve all of it. There was a misunderstanding between Jesse and I after that happened that I do want to clear up, where someone who at least claimed to be a fan of Jesse's, did an internet and threatened to kill me, which is, being a person on the internet, death threats are unfortunately not uncommon. At the time, though, I was in a very panicked state, and so I did report it to the police. I did not report Jesse to the police, which is the misunderstanding that people came away with. I did not report Jesse to the police.
That's
I would
fair.
have no reason to do that. And it did.
So he was going through a lot of shit even prior to this. I mean, dude, content creation, when you get to a certain level, man, it can get crazy. Anyway, I've seen the full apology of this.
Remarkable, too, is a paper tablet that feels like you're writing on
playthrough again for Keffels. But yeah, I've seen the video of this. So yeah, I'm not like super. I'm not super familiar with that particular situation, but I am familiar with the other stuff he's apologizing for. We covered it last time on the last episode covering this. And yeah, it's just like he's trying to repent, he tries to do the right things, and it's like he never gets another opportunity again. And I mean, dude, seriously, like, you have an opportunity to forgive and forget, and I feel like so many people just lose sight of that entirely. I'm not saying you forget, but you can forgive, and you can see if they can make up for this awful nonsense, you know what I mean? So I wish people would just kind of get off the bandwagon of, oh, we need to witch hunt people. There's not enough people that do that, and I feel like very few people actually call it out for what it is, and that's just like, even if you have the right intention, it's beyond fucked. It really is beyond fucked, because it can really drag a person that may have already been at their lowest point, and then they're here. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, but like, we should really be more cautious about this, and this should serve as a lesson to not go as far as you do with it. That's just the truth. So
again, but I just want you to know that I am sorry.
Now, having watched the clip, and maybe this is me just being overly empathetic watching this footage, but I want to say this up front before I get into the next part that I recorded earlier, which I recorded with some distance from having watched it this morning, which is to say, like, this does come across as very sincere, and it might even be completely sincere. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being too empathetic, because what I'm going to say next is going to kind of like actually talk earnestly about like what I feel about this, and I stand by all of it. But like, there's just a part of me that wrestles with it, because it's like, it does feel earnest, and I want to believe that. But as you'll see, it's difficult for me to do that for what I will now cut back to. Looking at his apology and what he says to me specifically and about the situation, I have very mixed feelings on that part of it.
my apologies.
And I think it comes down to just the lack of ability to trust him at this stage of the game, and it's something that he readily admits to in the video, that his trust, people's trust in him has been destroyed, not just because of the situation I just outlined, but because of the stuff with the plagiarism and him having plagiarized from people. Like, it's difficult to trust him on anything he says because of that, and how he has framed accusations of plagiarism before. And that kind of goes into this. Like, he has been accused of plagiarism before this, and every time he did, he always claimed like, oh, they're coming to attack me. Like, H-Bomber Guy talked about this in his video. Like, when someone said, you plagiarized my video, James Summerton framed it as like, they are harassing me, when that was not the case. They were literally just saying, you plagiarized from me, which was what happened. And again, you check out H-Bomber Guys for the details on that.
So yeah, covering this again, it's like, that's so wrong for James Summerton to do. You shouldn't be plagiarizing people's work without giving the proper credit. And you damn sure don't threaten people's work. Then when they call you out on it, threaten your audience to attack them or say they're coming to attack me. That's absurd. That's just absurd. Now, excuse me. There could have been a razor-thin chance that he thought that he'd done all the proper copyright claim and he didn't understand that, and then he really understood how wrong that is. It's one thing to really show them, and when they see what they did wrong, okay, fuck, I really screwed up here. That's fine. But then you need to give them that chance to grow and learn from it. I don't care how big or small the offense is. As I said in the last video, unless you're a pedophile, a murderer, or a genocidal maniac, there is no reason you couldn't have given him that time to correct his mistakes. None. And I stand by that statement.
So when he discusses the situation, it just leads me to question whether it is true or not. And I'm not here to say that it isn't true, but I just don't have any ability to trust that it is.
Which, by the way, and I talked about this in the last podcast, I think it's wrong to assume people's intentions, even if they've shown every case that this is bad, okay? But if you have those trust issues, that's totally valid for you to feel. That's fine. Let it play out. Let's see what happens before you just assume the worst. You know, like, he at least deserved that much respect as a human being, as a content creator. I think he deserved that respect. But that's just my thing with that.
But at the same time, I think that this situation speaks to something that I and many other people have long seen as a problem with the internet in general. When people in a community, especially a marginalized community, we want to hold them accountable. But the problem is that there are no actual mechanisms for what accountability is supposed to look like, and everyone has their own different and unique idea of what accountability should be. So no one can actually truly be happy. And in a lot of circumstances, what this leads to is intense harassment campaigns and online scrutiny that lasts for years and destroys careers without any true way for people to redeem themselves after the mistakes that they've made. And
I'm so glad. Let's see how many views this got, because I want to know how many people got this fucking message, hopefully loud and clear. 58 views. 58k views. That needs to be up. That needs to be way up there. I hope it gets clipped and it blows up on Twitter or somewhere. Like, because that was the most realistic clip that has ever been said about this entire situation.
When your livelihood is tied to how much people like you online, it can feel devastating, absolutely excruciatingly painful, and alienating to watch as you're getting ruthlessly dragged online by thousands and thousands of people. If you have existing mental health conditions while you're also dealing with this, it can be a recipe for absolute disaster, as it has been many, many, many times in the past. And I'm not defending James Summerton. As I said in this video already, I don't think that there is a justification for stealing any other creator's work. There are so many marginalized people on this platform who have struggled tooth and nail to have their voice heard, to grow a following. It is a dog-eat-dog industry where so many people get stepped on by other people so they can grow their own platforms. But at the same time, I think that what this really speaks to is that we need to, as a community, figure out better methods to actually hold each other accountable. Because when we don't have methods to hold each other accountable, what ends up happening is just online harassment, which,
I mean, holy shit, yep,
is not a form of accountability. And it does take a real toll on people's mental health. Now, I think a lot of people feel like we can justify this. They forget the humanity behind everyone who is on the screen and they just get into doing witch hunts for fun. But that doesn't actually help. And the problem with incentivizing this kind of behavior is, yeah, it might feel good to be part of the mob, but when the mob turns on you, no one is going to be there to help you. The top comment on the subreddit post read, I hope he doesn't follow through with this. Just because he's no longer credible as an essayist doesn't mean his life is unredeemable. And I agree. He obviously messed up. Maybe he can come back one day. If he continues to show that he is truly sorry, if he's willing to make amends with all of the people he's hurt, if he's willing to accept that not everyone is going to trust him anymore. But it really does make me have hope, seeing people actually have empathy for him, even though they don't like him and they think that he betrayed the trust of an entire community. We all need to strive to be like that. We all need to show compassion, even to people we don't think deserve it. This is truly one of the most hopeful and humanizing thing I've seen on the internet, because so often it feels like we have lost all of our humanity in the ways that we treat each other.
I mean, yeah. I couldn't have even said it any better myself if I tried, but I'm going to try and add on to what Keffels has already said. This has been such a big problem in the community. Not even just in the community of YouTube, but just the community at large of social media, the World Wide Web. This has been getting worse. It really has been. And I feel like so many people are just so chronically online, so much so that they just lose their way and they lose their humanity. You know, and maybe I'm part of the problem also, because, you know, I say that and I absolutely have no love for the Young Bucks, and I will not tune into anything that they view. But even then, they can redeem themselves. I'm not going to just sit here and pretend that they can't redeem their past mistakes. The problem is they haven't done that yet. And I've seen this guy try. You know, and it's just unbelievable, because it's like, so many people are just willing to say he can never change, he can never be redeemed, he's a horrible human being for life, therefore fuck him. And that's just such a shitty thing. I don't want to be a part of that society anymore. That's why I stay off Twitter. That's why I don't have an Instagram anymore. I could easily make a new Instagram after my last one got taken down. I'm not even sure why, but my JHebert Side, JHebert 95 Instagram got taken down ages ago. I could make another Instagram, but I don't. I'm hardly ever on Facebook. You know, like, I'm hardly ever on Twitter. The only reason I'm even on Twitter anymore is, like, very rarely to just tweet out my shit. Tweet out the content that's coming out or promote. I very rarely interact on there anymore, and the reason I very rarely interact on there anymore is, like, because of shit like this. Because it's every fucking day there's something to bitch about on Twitter. I went on a whole spree in September last year of muting all mentions of negative toxicity on YouTube and Twitter and all sorts of other places. Like, I had to really clean up my algorithm and unsubscribe and unfollow a lot of places just to clean up my feed. You know, mute channels that I still want to follow and support, but just mute, like, people that I follow just because I don't want any negative opinion to, like, fester in me or make me feel, like, shitty, you know what I mean? About pro wrestling or, you know, music or YouTube or something, you know what I mean? I try to avoid it as best as I can, because I don't want to ever feel the way I did back when I made JHebert Side of Things episode 6. I don't ever want to feel that way again. You know? So That's the truth there, man. You know, and I'm definitely not a perfect person. I don't think any of us are perfect. And I think that's kind of the point that Keffel's made. You know, we are not ever going to be perfect. You know, we all make mistakes. We are all human. That is the nature of human beings. We make mistakes. We are mammals at the end of the day. You know, we're bound to make mistakes in society at some point. You know, and again, unless you're a murderer, a pedophile, or a fucking genocidal, homicidal maniac, there's no reason why you should be witch hunting people. It's one thing to bring up injustices. It's one thing to argue about those injustices. It's one thing to disagree with somebody and their outlook on shit. That's fine. It's the internet. It's life. But to do it in the way these people do it, to the point of harassment campaigns, just like Heffel said, and then just completely shit on people, and not even give them a chance to redeem themselves, like there is no redeeming quality about them, when they actually tried especially, is fucked to me. And I will never get over that. And if James Summerton really is gone from this world, I'm gonna have a huge problem with that. And as sucky as this is, I hope this is a lesson to people, to not do that again. So there's an update since then, which I just want to make sure that this is even the right video. Because I do have the Vosh and H Bomber guy situation, but they're also getting hate, I think, for this. But I just want to make sure that this is the right video. Yes, okay, it is the right video. Good. Let's play this one. This is an update to that last video.
It's been over a day now, and there's still no word on what happened to James Summerton. H-Bomber Guy also has not responded to the situation as it's been unfolding. Some people have speculated that he may still be alive because comments left on his YouTube channel are actively getting deleted. However, that may not be true, as he said that he gave control of his YouTube channel to his editor so that the final round of videos that were in production could be put out, and that the editor could still put those videos on his resume. As all of the information hasn't come out yet, we can only speculate on what actually happened. But given the fact that H-Bomber Guy hasn't made any sort of statement yet, I'm going to assume that he's taking this situation as seriously as he should. Other people are taking this situation and are being incredibly cynical and manipulative and trying to pin the blame onto other people, such as H-Bomber Guy and also Vosh. And again, we don't actually know whether or not James Summerton is even alive right now. This post on Twitter from Vito Comedy reads the following. Last week, James Summerton posted an apology video telling viewers he felt on the verge of. In a response video with over 150,000 views, Vosh attacked Summerton, accusing him of weaponizing the threat of self-harm for sympathy. Yesterday, Summerton took his own life, and he included this clip.
This content warning feels manipulative. It is. You would otherwise put it at the 28-minute mark. He did this in his last video, which he deleted. I only saw the first minute of it, and it was immediately him doing the YouTuber apology, like, I'm so sad, like, self-harm, I just came back from the hospital thing. Like, he's 100% weaponizing it. I expect nothing but dishonesty from him.
The same situation of trying to pin what happened to James Summerton onto other people was happening in other corners of the internet as well, with Peter Coffin getting roasted by Hank Green of all people, which I absolutely did not expect. Now, if you don't know who Peter Coffin is, he is a rather peculiar character on the internet. He got his start by kicking himself in the balls on national television. No, I'm not kidding. This is an actual thing that happened.
Please welcome. I'm not even going to try to get claimed by anything that Steve Harvey has, because any talk show can easily fuck you over. So there you go.
He also had a cameo in The Annoying Orange.
Man, it just goes to show you. You never know when your time's
There's a lot. There's a lot about Peter Coffin. I'm not going to go into all of the ins and outs of Peter Coffin today. But he decided to weigh in on this entire situation. So Peter Coffin tweeted out a post from the H-Bomber Guy subreddit, where people were discussing how they genuinely hope that if this situation comes to the worst and James Summerton is no longer alive, then it won't have a huge impact on H-Bomber Guy's mental health. And
yeah, and I genuinely hope that too, because like that is a very, very big thing to carry with you for the rest of your life. Like that's really hard, even if you didn't really feel like you were doing anything wrong. And to be clear, H-Bomber Guy and Vosh were not doing anything wrong by criticizing James Summerton. They just, I think the issue is that people did not have much empathy after the fact, and even try to let him be, and try to, let it go. And maybe part of the problem isn't even with the creators themselves. Maybe it's just the people that are chronically online, which is why I think there needs to be an overhaul to social media usage. I'm not saying you censor free speech, but there needs to be, like, even in the U.S. Constitution, right, it says within the confines of the law. There really needs to be some laws in place when it comes to fucking social media use. Because I'm sure that, not every person criticizing James Summerton was exactly family friendly when it came to their opinions. I'm sure there was a lot of death threats included in that.
And honestly, it absolutely will. This is a terrible situation to be in, and I do not envy that man in the slightest. So, Peter?
I don't either. Fuck me. Without getting into too much detail, because I don't want to out everybody in this situation, but somebody ended themselves that I knew that was witch hunted, and the person I was with at the time witch hunted them and said that it was all their fault. They were in trouble for something. And I'm going to leave that as vague as possible. And at the time, I believed the other person's story. And that hurts me to this day. That kills me to this day. I will never truly be able to get over that. The best that I can do is learn from it, not blame myself too much for it as much as I can, because even though I didn't, start the witch hunt, I felt like I was a part of it. And then it turned out it was just one big bullshit lie anyway. And she was innocent. They were innocent, So I really take that hard. I really take that hard. And that's a huge fuck up of mine, And I will take that to the grave with me. So I can't even imagine what the fuck H-Bomber Guy's going through right now. Because that's like that situation, but on a grander fucking scale. Considering how many eyes are on this. And I'm sure, as Keffel's just said in their last video, when you witch hunt, those witch hunters are not going to come and defend you. In fact, they'll probably do the same thing because they get off to it and they have nothing better to do with their lives. Which is sad in a way, because that means they're miserable in life as well. For one reason or another. I went way too far. Hold on. Oh, for fuck's sake. Hold on.
Full situation to be in, and I do not envy that man in the slightest. So Peter Coffin commented on it saying, "This is the most insane shit anyone has ever written. This does not even mention that James Summerton may be dead. A commenter replied, "It's because people are actively attacking and blaming H-Bomber Guy as if he killed James when there was ultimately nothing he did wrong. You cannot blame someone for someone else's suicide. Their mental state is their responsibility, and all he did was discuss his plagiarism." To which Peter Coffin responds, "If he is dead, H-Bomb absolutely led the charge in killing him," which led Hank Green to weigh in saying, "Fucking disgusting tweet, my dude." Because let's be honest here, blaming anyone else for this situation is disgusting. James Summerton legitimately did very terrible things. He stole from other people, and he made a career off of stealing from other people. Exposing to the world that his career was based off of theft does not warrant taking your own life. And I really hope that this situation isn't true. I hope for his own sake that he didn't go through with it, or that this was some sort of publicity stunt. But trying to blame the situation on other people is disgusting. And the same can be said for Vosh in this circumstance. Personally, when I see people saying that they have made attempts to harm themselves, my first instinct isn't to jump and say, oh, they're just making this up for attention. They're just trying to do a sympathy grab. Because you run the risk where these clips being used to portray you as an absolute monster if the situation turns out to be true and they are actually at risk of hurting themselves. But that said, I don't think that Vosh is responsible for this either, especially because he is only one of dozens and dozens of creators who were commenting on the situation in the first place. And I think if anything, we should be talking about the entire landscape of YouTube and how it incentivizes these kinds of dog piles to happen, regardless if the people on the receiving end of these dog piles even deserve it or not. I'll keep you all up to date as the situation unfolds. I'm following this really closely, and I really hope that we get some answers.
Yeah, I'm not going to be covering this anymore after this, but I'm hoping he'll be okay. If he does happen to be okay, I'll mention it in passing. If not, you'll get a video that isn't a JHebert Side regarding this situation. Yeah, I agree with everything that Kefo said in these last two videos, man. Like, it's really the only take in a situation like this, man. It really is. It's crazy, man. I don't know how else to really explain how crazy this situation has gotten, and how we need to really learn from this going forward as a society. I just wish it didn't have to come at the expense of somebody's life like this. And the worst part is, this isn't even the first time it's happened. This happened with Etika too. And that was a fucking gut punch to the internet. This kid had his whole fucking life ahead of him, man. And he took it because of dog pile from the internet. And, yeah. It's just bad, man. It's frustrating. I really, really, really hope that he's okay somehow. I hope that he's alive. I just hope that he didn't do this and then tried to start his career again. Like, I hope somebody, like, pulled him out, of that. And it isn't true that he's dead, but somehow I feel like that it's very similar to how Etika died, because he live streamed, was vague, and he was already near the Brooklyn Bridge to jump off before he was done, And that's kind of what has me very, very upset about this entire situation. But with that said, this is a hard topic to discuss. And I only put this next part in here so that way we can actually talk about something that's positive. So that way we're not, like, completely, like, down in the dumps this entire podcast. So that's where the Bloodline storyline comes in, and my thoughts on the matter. And I may be even inviting a friend to kind of talk about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause here, and if he is willing to join me in the discussion online with this, we are just going to be talking about the Bloodline storyline and how good it's been. And before I even do that, actually, it's like 12:13 now. I'm not even going to do that. Fuck that. I was going to call my boy Ryan, but I just realized what fucking time it is. He's probably fucking, like, tired as hell, and he's got, like, a lot of shit going on in his life. So, not going to do that. But I will still be talking about this, the storyline and everything of where it's gone regardless. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to watch and refresh myself on everything that's been going on, and we'll go from there. So, because I really want to get into this, because it's been very, very good. Oh, man. So, to really hype myself up for this double main event coming up for WrestleMania, where Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are going to main event both nights of WrestleMania for the first time ever. Man, we got to talk about this. Holy shit. Wow. Wow. This is cinema, man. I gotta give the WWE credit. This build for Roman versus Cody has been tremendous this year. And I thought it was tremendous last year, but this is going above and beyond great this year. Slowly but surely, the Attitude Era has arrived. Even a tenth of it is back in WWE. Some of the segments that have aired all the way up to the first Raw of this year. The Rock calling out the head of the table the way he did was unreal. What's funny is I think it was always a plan to have it be The Rock versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title at WrestleMania that year. And they were going to completely forget Cody, and Vince being as stubborn as he was, that was going to be the match. I'm still convinced that was the case. Until when it ended up happening before the Rumble ended up happening. And now The Rock has taken over where Vince was. And that's just the behind-the-scenes version of things, right? Now we are in a situation where they are blending fiction and reality so freaking beautifully. Holy shit. It's just unreal, man. Unreal. Number one, when that first segment happened, this is originally how I felt about it, but looking back at it now and how they've been able to tell this story, it's beautifully, beautifully told. It's really, really well done. I just watched a playlist by WWE on the Roman versus Cody versus Roman and Rock versus Rollins and Cody storyline, and it's so good, man. It's so damn good. Now, going into the intricacies of everything, everybody thought, and everybody seriously thought that this was the case. I never believed it really for a second. There was a part of me that kind of was like, yeah, I could see them going this way. And when The Rock came out to confront Cody, then it was like, okay, yeah, this is a bit sus. But this is also The Rock. And I think people are so quick to say that the original plan was still in motion for Rock to fight Roman, and Cody was going to fight Rollins. But that's not the case. You all got to remember that when The Rock was booed when he fought Lesnar in 2002 for the WWE title, you know, The Rock, he turned with the crowd in the direction that he wanted, or that they wanted him to go. And he thought at that moment in time, that was his time to refresh his character, and that's when we got Hollywood Rock. Right? Now he's doing it again, and this was always the plan. This was always the plan, and I think people forget that. The Rock is a pro wrestling booker through and through without anybody even realizing it. Considering he's grown up in the business, he knows what works with the audience in a particular time and what doesn't. He listens to the people. If the people want to boo The Rock, he's going to let the people boo The Rock. He's going to give them reasons. And that was the reasons. And I think what's funny about it is, I think there was a lot of people that were in shock initially wanting the match. But when social media went and said, we don't want the match, which you didn't hear in the live arena, they said, boo that, we want Cody. Cody deserves his moment. Cody deserves his story. And in any other time, WWE would have looked at that and scoffed at it, especially under Vince's regime, and just squish us under their thumb. The social media contingent has no place in this business. This time they went with it. And they always were going to go with it. I think they knew wholeheartedly what this was going to do, and they rode this wave. They rode this wave. It was brilliantly done. What is hilarious is when I made the podcast of talking about The Rock, and it's like, why are you supporting this? Leave the arena. Don't go to the arenas, all this shit. It's because I really thought that WWE was going to go in that direction because the fans went way too far with it. Very much similar to how they went way too far with the AEW bullshit and debacle with the Elite and Punk, and why that whole thing happened the way it happened. This time around, that isn't the case. They actually knew what they were going to do. And I still think the death threats were a bit much. I still think that to this day, and people can call it out, what have you, that's fine. Chant whatever you want to chant, but when you actually DM somebody personally and say, I want you to die, that's a problem. And that's exactly what happened to Ava Raine, who is The Rock's daughter, right? But they knew this was happening. And the reason I say that is because if it really was that bad, The Rock would have said something by now. Way sooner than he did. So he did. After he slapped Cody. That WrestleMania press conference is the best work shoot promo that you will ever see since CM Punk's pipe bomb. Quote me. Quote this clip. Clip this. Seriously. Go right ahead. I mean every word I say. That was masterful job. Masterful job. That alone could have built up to this match at WrestleMania coming up. That alone could have built up to both main events at Mania. Really. But it just carried the momentum, man. And they carried that momentum more and more. And seeing what they built on Raw and SmackDown has been wonderfully told. Cody's story's awesome. Rollins' story is awesome. Like the fact that Rollins has actually gotten a chance to shine in this whole thing and whole dynamic has been great. I love the fact that they actually included Drew McIntyre, since he's actually going to open night 2 fighting Rollins for the world title. I love that they went to that route. I love that they, talked about that with, and that they actually included him in the storyline, even if he got cheap wins as a result. Love that. Just love that, man. I love the little details that they're including into this story. That happening. The one thing I noticed, nothing mentioned of Damian Priest, which I find concerning. But maybe they're saving that until the opening of Night 2 of Mania, where he cashes in and wins the world title. But otherwise, man, this is tremendous. Truly. I truly believe that. This is awesome. Like, this storyline has been so good. The different pieces that have kind of aligned. I love that Cody and Roman mentioned the storyline they had last time with the Rhodes versus the Shield. I love that they went back to that. I love that. I love how, Roman mentioned how Rollins betrayed him and how he, or at least his distorted view on how he felt like Rollins betrayed him. Love that. Deluded heel. Love it. The Rock concert. That was one of the most scariest and chilling Rock promos I have ever seen. When he looked at the camera all psycho-like, and he's like, "What could I say except you're welcome?" After he threatened he was gonna beat Cody Rhodes' ass and leave him a bloody mess at WrestleMania and before WrestleMania, a little hint that he was gonna do that before WrestleMania. Man, that was just cinema storytelling, man. The Rock has, if he wasn't already a great pro wrestler, I mean, his acting has absolutely made everything 10 times better. I mean, this really is Final Boss Rock. Roman's promos have been on point. I feel like people just say, oh, he's not doing good in the promos because The Rock is owning him, and he does look like the little brother, but part of that, I feel like, is the point. But what I didn't expect in this build-up was The Rock to acknowledge Roman Reigns and call him his tribal chief. Wow. That's a little tease. You could make an argument Rock was maybe a little bit reluctant, right? This is interesting now. This is very, very interesting. It's very, very, very well built. This story has had twists, turns, peaks, valleys. Everybody's over. The crowd's into everything. They want Cody to win, but they love the story getting there. And that's all you need in pro wrestling. Now, let's address the elephant in the room here. There's a few elephants in the room that we need to address. There's a very good chance that Cody still may not finish his story. And if that happens, that's a rotten mistake that they can't afford to make, I don't think. But I'm going in with the expectation that they will. Part of that is because I have to have my guard up, and also, it sounds negative, but it's I can't get so upset. And I don't want to get upset if it happens. So many times in wrestling, it's you get there, you're almost there, and then you drop the ball. I've seen that happen in wrestling so many times that I just have to kind of go in with that expectation. So that's why I say that. And the reason why I say that is for a couple reasons. One, Jey Uso can easily turn on Cody at any time because he wants the glory for himself. There's every chance that could be the case. There's a chance Orton could interfere and not like that Cody gets all the shine off of his return. Go up against Cody, go up against Roman, go anti-hero mode, and anybody wants to see that. And also fight Punk because Punk stole his thunder from his return, all this shit. You could easily make an argument for that. There is that. There's also the impending debut, possibly, of Jacob Fatu, who is a really good wrestler, but I really hope that he doesn't interfere because he would be the only one that could legally interfere. The reason I say that is because in WIW, when that was a thing, I booked Azam to interfere in Shawn Maverick's match against Mark Young. So, and he wasn't under contract because the rule of the Gold Rush tournament is nobody can interfere under any circumstances or you are automatically disqualified. That's the only DQ win that you can get. So that was the rule of the tournament. And the way to bypass that is to have somebody assault him who was never under contract to begin with. Inside a steel cage, no less. So that's why I bring that up. There's a very good chance that they go that route and have Jacob Fatu as the heavy and get Cody to lose that way. So I'm not going to hold my breath and say Cody's absolutely finishing his story, because there's a very good chance they won't. And they'll stretch this title run out for another year and do a Bloodline Civil War story where The Rock has his and Roman has his. All this dumb shit. I really don't want to see that, because you could do that without the title, and I much prefer it without the title any goddamn way. I don't want it with the championship, if we can help it. So there's that. And I think you've got a lot. I will say this. Cody has a lot more upside as the champion and a lot more feud opportunities than Roman holding the title does. He's got a feud. He's got a built-in feud with Walter. He's got a built-in feud with Punk. He's got a built-in match with Jey Uso. He's got a built-in match with Matt Riddle if he ever comes back. He's got a built-in match with Randy Orton with their history and legacy. There's a built-in history. Possibly you could do a face versus face with John Cena. You could do a match between him and AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight. You can manufacture certain aspects of other stories as well, I'm sure. You could do Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears for the third time, because they only had 2 matches in AEW and he's in NXT now, so that absolutely could work for a title match, even if you do it on a Raw or a SmackDown. Cody Rhodes, Carmelo Hayes could be a good title program. Cody Rhodes versus Bobby Lashley could be a good program. There is title matches. There are interesting matchups that you can go with Cody as the champion. Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre as well. I can't forget about that. There's Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre. Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, if turn Owens heel. Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest. Cody Rhodes, Finn Balor. Point being, there's a lot of options if you go with Cody. Does that mean they'll go with Cody? No, because they're really on the kick of having Roman Reigns beat everybody's previous record. I could still see that being the case. I hope to God that isn't. If anything, in a perfect world, I would have everybody that I said try to cost Cody the win, but then have a counterattack in place just to be on the safe side. Like, Cody kind of expected Jey to turn, so he planned that. He heard the rumblings of Jacob Fatu, possibly coming in to run interference, so he gets another heavy in Walter with the promise of, hey, I'll give you a title shot. My theory is this, by the way, and this is my theory that they should go with this, by the way. They should reunite the OC. The OC should work with Cody, along with AJ. That includes AJ. Hell, you could even give LA Knight into the mixes of this as well. And all of them are promised a title match of some kind if they go about it this way, right? With the exception of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, they're going to have to work their way up to get to the title scene again, the tag title scene again. But the idea is they're heel, but they're anti-hero heel for now to help Cody win. So Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows and AJ Styles all fend off Jacob Fatu. So that way you're keeping Jacob Fatu strong, because I know a lot of people's answer is you don't debut a guy who, if you're going to be losing anyway. Not necessarily true. If you have 3 guys go up against 1 heavy, then that keeps that guy strong in the midst of all that. So there is that. There's also Drew McIntyre. He could be a wild card. There's Damian Priest, who could be a wild card as well. He may want to ruin Cody's story before it really gets started after the match is over and cash in on Cody after the fact. But, like, that's why I'm saying, like, in a perfect world, you throw everything, you throw the whole gauntlet at Cody, and Cody overcomes it all. And the fans go home happy. You know what I mean? And it really shows you're going to have to do a lot to beat Cody. Until they find the right guy to usurp him. And right now, I think WWE has done a very good job in doing that with the other champions. Not necessarily Roman Reigns, because I think they stretched this out way too long, but if they didn't stretch it out too long, we wouldn't be getting the story right now. So there is that. But, you know, they've done a very good job with Walter. I'm going to always call him Walter. I'm never going to call him by that other fucking name, because it's a fucking racist thing, and it hates Jews, and I'm not calling him by the fucking Nazi. Fuck that. That's ridiculous. I don't care. But Walter, okay, Walter, they did a very good job with his Intercontinental title reign. They did a very good job with him, with Bianca Belair when she was the Raw, and then, you know, the Raw Women's Champion. They did a very good job when it comes to Rhea Ripley with the Women's World Championship. You know, they've done a very good job when it comes to the Tag Team Championships with the Usos. And the only title in WWE that I could say is truly hot potato on the main roster is the U.S. title. And even that's got something interesting going on right now with Logan and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there. And I'm not going to say that they wanted to obviously test the long title reigns with the others first before they do it with their main title. With a new guy. I think they wanted to establish that they could do this with other guys that aren't Roman Reigns first. They have done that now. And now I think they're going to do that with Cody. So, we're going to be at the situation where Cody is going to have a lot more interesting feuds if he wins the belt. And I think a lot of people think, well, you know, when Cody Rhodes wins, then the chase is over, and that's the most interesting part. You're not going to have an interesting story besides that. Not if you don't try. There's only one person that rule I truly believe actually has that applied to. And that was when Johnny Gargano won the NXT title from Adam Cole. When Johnny Gargano won the title, you were there for the moment. You didn't need to have him have a lengthy run. Especially if you had a lot of other plans going forward with Gargano that didn't involve the title. So you could afford for him to lose the title to Adam Cole after that. You could. That's fine, you know? I have no issues with that. I have no query with that being the case for Johnny. But this isn't the case for Cody. And you know why this isn't the case for Cody? Cody is the next babyface of the company. The next male representative babyface of the company. He is the next John Cena. He is the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is the next Hulk Hogan. He is that next face. You know what I mean? And it shows in his presentation. It shows in how he handles his actions. It shows how they built him up in the story. He's the next guy. You cannot deny it anymore. He is this next generation's John Cena. I truly stand by that. And I truly think he has shown more than anything that he is ready for that spot. And I think The Rock's job, in his mind, was to get Cody over that hump to be that next John Cena. That's truly why he came back, is to put over that generation in a way that made sense. And, man, they've done a masterful job of that. I hope to God that it stays that way and they don't have cold feet at the last minute. But this is pro wrestling. This is pro wrestling. I have to keep that doubt in the, not even the back of my mind. It has to be in the frontal fucking cortex at this point. I've been disappointed by pro wrestling more times than I am willing to admit for that not to be the case. So, yeah. I'm going to say that and then kind of leave it there. You know, I love the story going in, though. The story going in has been phenomenal. I'm excited because of the story, but I have to have my expectations low because they have proven before that they cannot be trusted. And really, what it comes down to is I don't, fuck the management, fuck the writers. I've been on that kick for a while. I'm there for the wrestlers, the people that are, there to make us watch, and care about pro wrestling. I'm there for the athletes. That's why I watch AEW. I don't watch AEW for the fucking management anymore. I watch AEW for the athletes there. I watch AEW for Will Ospreay. I watch AEW for, Darby Allins. I watch AEW for the Jay Whites. I watch AEW for the Mercedes Monets. I watch AEW for, the Hikaru Shidas. I watch AEW for the FTRs. I watch AEW for the Konosuke Takeshita's. I watch AEW for, I watch AEW for Kazuchika Okada. Not the Young Bucks that he's paired up with, but I watch it for him. I watch it for the athletes. I watch it for the workers. I don't watch it for management. I can no longer watch wrestling for the management because if I watch wrestling for the management and the way they run things, and though they're good right now, that's how you let yourself down because eventually they're going to slip up eventually. That's just how it is. As we said in the beginning of the podcast, nobody's perfect, right? So you got to kind of have your expectations at a low when it comes to the management side and just go in there for the wrestlers and support the people you want to support. And I support Cody. Hell, I support The Rock, and I support Roman, and I support Rollins. Hope they kill it on Saturday and Sunday. I hope they absolutely tear the house down in Philadelphia. But yeah, overall, yeah, let's enjoy Mania this year, and let's try to be happy about this year's Mania. I hope to God I'm happy with this year's Mania. I'm gonna be happy either way because I'm gonna be hanging out with friends for the first time in a while, which I haven't done in ages for Mania. I feel like I've, it's always been like it's always been a job lately. And I'm not even getting paid much for it, you know what I mean? So, like, for once I get to just kind of sit back and enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, I like commentating and everything, but I'm glad I don't have to. I'm glad I can actually have my moments where I can just sit down, watch a show just for the sake of watching a show. It's very fun. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to this year's Mania. I'm hoping for the best, but I have my expectations set all the way low, just in case I do end up getting disappointed by the end of the night. Or by the end of Sunday night, excuse me. So yeah. It's been very, very fun. It's been a very good time. And I'm loving this new era of WWE. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm hoping that this continues, and hopefully they do it right. I still have my reservations. I have a right to have my reservations with the management, but, I hope they do right by the workers. I hope they do right by the fans who appreciate the workers' work. And because the work they've been doing is stellar, and I feel like anything but the right ending is going to be poor. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Cody story. I think the moral of the story is, of this podcast is just be kind to people. Let's try to get our humanity back in this ever-crazy, ever-changing world of social media. And just enjoy the things you like and try to be in a positive mindset and not so critical of every little thing. And try to be happy about the things that you have. Because life is short at the end of the day. Because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But yeah. It's been a very up and down podcast, so my apologies for that. But on the next episode, we will be talking, or rather, somewhat talking and also somewhat listening, 2 artists. 2 artists. They will be coming by very, very soon, okay? I want you to pay attention to what we do here, because we are going to be advocating for athletes. Athletes. What am I talking about? I'm all over the place. It's like 1 in the morning as I record this, but we're going to be advocating for artists. Excuse me. That's the A word I'm looking for. We're going to be advocating for YouTube artists, independent artists, to be hired by the WWE, to be hired by some pro wrestling company, because I feel like they are owed that. So, if you want to know what that's going to be like and what artists I'm actually going to be promoting, you'll see the 3 people on this thumbnail by the end screen after I'm off camera. Check out who's on the front of the pack. We're going to be talking about a lot more. Those aren't the only 3 I have in mind, but there's other artists as well that I give a shout out to in that podcast. As well as you can check out the Garry Hebert second trailer of his documentary. By the time you see this, it's out right now. Go check it out. Go show my uncle some love. That documentary is coming along great, and I am busting my ass for that. Please make sure you check that out. It's going to be a hell of a documentary, and I'm loving every bit of the process. So check out these 2 videos. This one coming up next week. And until next time, we will see you on the JHebert Side. Peace out, everyone.